Tony, threat intelligence is a term that a lot of people have heard about, but maybe they don't know exactly what it means. Can you define it for us?
Well, firstly, let's step back, about why we need threat intelligence. Cyber threats have changed. I mean, we would have all seen malware landing in our inboxes or understand infections on machines with malware. But now cyber threats are slightly more sophisticated. Somebody's going to get into a company network, they're going to exploit a vulnerability or have credentials to access that network because they've stolen them from somewhere. And they will sit in that network, they will look around for the company assets, look for the crown jewels of the company, and then they'll exfiltrate data and then have their cyber attack. So threat intelligence allows us to understand the techniques and tactics and the processes they use to actually enter the network. So you need that intelligence to work out whether somebody actually has compromised your company network and whether they are actually in the network. So that's the importance of threat intelligence. It's the bit before what we all think of a cyber attack, which is ransomware or malware, etc., of understanding whether somebody has actually broken in.
When we look at businesses of all sizes, what should they know about threat intelligence?
Well, ingesting that threat intelligence is complex because it needs to be taken in and then distributed across the organization. So it should affect different parts. So obviously the endpoint needs to be protected. But let me give you an example. If we saw a piece of threat intelligence, a threat materializing in the APAC region overnight, or overnight here, then you want to be protected when you wake up here the following morning. Yeah. So if suddenly cyber attackers are using a certain group of servers on an IP address in APAC, by the time you wake up here, you want to know that IP address is blocked at this end, both on the endpoint and maybe on your firewalls. So that's complicated for a business to actually implement. So a big company, an enterprise company, may have the resources to do that. For a small business, realistically, I think they're going to need a managed service provider, so somebody else, a group of experts actually helping them deploy that type of intelligence in their organization.
Let's talk a little bit about ESET and your threat intelligence capabilities. You are known for being strong in this area. How did you get there?
Well, firstly, ESET is a 30-year-old company. We're still run by our founders, so we have very little outside influence in our company. And because of that, we're a research-strong company. And that comes from several reasons. Obviously, because we've got that legacy of having founders that are still technical people and understand how to do threat research, but we then have a big group of customers that are providing telemetry back into that research as well. And then so there are sensors out in the market, so to speak. So then the researchers take that telemetry and they look for anomalies in that telemetry, they look for threats and detections in there, and they still take it apart. So it's there's a lot of AI and there's a lot of automation in there, but there's a lot of human expertise that goes alongside of it. So we're very much a research-heavy company in that way.
What is an example of how ESET has helped to mitigate a threat?
So let me give you a recent example. A piece of research we published recently was Cosmic Beetle. Now, all threat actors get these great names. I'm not quite sure how they're named, but they always get these great names. But our researchers followed Cosmic Beetle and they look at their techniques and tactics. So by understanding how a threat actor works, actually allows you to understand what their activity or where they might go next and how to mitigate against it. So how to tune your detection methods to pick up their changes. And I use them as a specific example because they've got a tool set that they've modified and they obfuscate slightly. But interestingly, this particular group have also used somebody else's tool set. And then they've also become an affiliate of a ransomware group. So by understanding that they're willing to go and use something else and use ransomware as a service, then you can track them better. So that helps us mitigate threats.
We know that the threat landscape is constantly evolving, constantly changing. How does ESET really stay ahead of what's happening?
A lot of that is that telemetry, but it's understanding the threats as they evolve, and we also track nation-state attackers. So Nation-state attackers will go after critical infrastructure or government entities, so they're into more espionage. And then for most businesses, it's about commercial, what I define as monetizing cyber attacks, i.e. the cyber criminal wants to be paid. What you'll find is tool sets used by nation-state attackers today are very sophisticated, and those end up transferring into the commercial domain at some stage. So by having vision of both, you're then tracking what might be used commercially tomorrow, which helps protect businesses. And obviously then there's the big question around AI in there as well. We've been using AI in our technology since 1997. All I'd say is, can you imagine in 1997 trying to explain to somebody that we were using AI? It would have probably been somewhat challenging.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Tony, thank you so much for breaking down threat intelligence and helping to demystify this term for everyone. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.